What is the very latest on the situation with Deshaun Watson and his future in Houston?
Well, Greeny, there's a lot to this, and there's going to be a lot more to this. And it's a little early in the process, considering that the Texans just hired their new general manager, Nick Caserio, and they don't even have a head coach yet. But you can begin to see this particular situation unfold as the offseason goes on. What we know now is this, that basically, according to Sarah Barshop, who covers the Texans for ESPN.com, Deshaun Watson is not returning calls from the organization. What we also know is that he's very unhappy with the way the organization has proceeded this offseason and has looked back at some of the organization's prior actions. What we can see here is that not only can Deshaun Watson request a trade, but he also could decide to withhold his services. And because of the no trade clause in his contract, the Texans have very little control here. Essentially, this is like an NBA situation. This is Deshaun Watson getting to pick where he wants to go. This is an NBA-style trade if and when the Texans get to the point that they are ready to make it, which they're not right now, but I believe, and other people around the league believe, they're going to be forced to get to eventually. And because that no-trade clause exists, if they said, hey, we want to trade Deshaun Watson to, hypothetically, Chicago, and he said, I don't want to go to Chicago. I want to go to Miami. I'm not going to report to Chicago. Or I want to be traded to the Jets. I'm not going to report to Chicago. You can begin to go through any of the variables and any of the hypotheticals in your mind. This is in a bad place right now. It looks like it's going to continue to go down a bad place. But let's see who the Texans hire as their general manager. Let's see if they're able to repair any of the damage that's been done. And let's see how this situation unfolds. But we've talked about this before. This, Greeny, this is going to be the story of the offseason.
Oh, no question about it. And Schefter, don't play with my emotions. Again, let's put Adam Schefter's tweet from yesterday back up there again about the Jets. Because it just, for those of you who didn't see it, and it had thousands and trillions of likes and favorites and everything else, but Schefter tweeted, there's no team out there better positioned than the New York Jets to put together a compelling trade package for Deshaun Watson. So obviously, like my resting heart rate like raised like 40 beats as we had that conversation. Yeah, go ahead, Schefter.
Well, let me just say this. Again, because Deshaun Watson gets to pick, again, the Texans can solicit whatever offers they want. But ultimately, it's going to come to what Deshaun Watson wants. Have you noticed he spent a lot of time in New York recently? He's there right now, New York, New Jersey. Maybe that appeals to him, Greeny. We know that Miami might appeal to him. So there are two teams, by the way, with the second and third picks in the draft. So it's not difficult to come up with a scenario under which the Jets or the Dolphins could satisfy the Houston Texans. Now, the question is, where does Deshaun Watson want to go? Because, again, I believe he influences and dictates it once the Texans get to a point that they fully recognize the trouble that they're in with their quarterback.
All right, let me go around the horn really quickly with reaction. Orlovsky, you were sending some notes yesterday. What is your sense of how this thing goes?
Oh, Deshaun Watson will never play for the Houston Texans again. I've felt that way for weeks. This will be one of the biggest organizational mistakes in the history of the NFL. It's the biggest one that I've ever seen. This organization has chosen a guy, Jack Easterby, over Deshaun Watson. I mean, think about that. And listen, there should be 6 teams who don't call the Houston Texans. 25 others should. 25 should be calling the Houston Texans right now. Kansas City, Seattle, Tampa Bay, Green Bay, the Chargers, and Buffalo, they don't need to call. And I know Cincy, because the knee injury to Joe Burrow scares me a little bit. But at the end of the day, everyone should be calling Houston. This is a horrible mistake by this organization. And the last thing I'll say is this, Greeny. I don't want the narrative out there that this is an ego thing by Deshaun Watson, like he's forcing his way out. This is a terrible display of organizational leadership and disrespect to their best player, and this is the necessary thing for Deshaun Watson.
RC?
This is about history. This is about the history of the Houston Texans, the way that they've treated players, the way that they've treated African-American players, and this is about lying. When you come to your best player and you tell him you're going to be involved in the situation and then you lie to him, now things start to feel familiar. You feel like you're going down the same road that you have already been before, that things are not changing. And I think Deshaun Watson not only did a deep dive into the history of his organization, but he did a deep dive into history as a whole. And he knows that this will not be fixed. And you said it last week, Greeny. I never knew Andre Johnson had a voice, and I played against him. So for him to tell Deshaun Watson, you know what, stand your ground, be strong, this organization will waste great players. That spoke volumes to me. He will never play another down there. Greeny, Schefter mentioned NBA. Well, Deshaun Watson has the Rich Paul or the Clutch Sports of agents in David Mulligetta. He'll get it done. That's a wrap.
Rex, give me a quick thought. We'll come back to this in the next hour. Give me a very quick thought, Rex. I haven't heard from you.
I think this is absolutely crazy. I mean, but I get it. If there's that big a divide, they're going to trade him. It sounds crazy. You go your whole career trying to find a franchise quarterback. I never had one, okay? So I would do everything in my power to keep this guy, but you've already done everything in your power to let him go, and it drives me crazy. You know where he should end up, Greeny.
Yes.
He'd come to the Big Apple right here and be the man. We still celebrate Joe Namath for all those type of years, and being a Jet fan, come to the Big Apple.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.